threatening comments on social media or ideological positions that could explain what led him to target former President Trump. At this point in time, I do want to bring in Eric O'Neill, who is with the FBI Counterterrorism and Counterintelligence Agency with that background. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Hey, Stephanie, it's great to be here on Fox.
So we do know that the investigation is still in the initial stages, and we have been hearing information slowly as it is being made public. But when it comes to what the FBI, what all the other intelligence agencies and law enforcement organizations are doing, can you explain to us what is happening right now?
Well, Stephanie, you touched on the first thing that the FBI are going to be looking for was whether the gunman acted alone or whether he was assisted, whether there's someone else. Now, of course, it's the FBI. They would try to knock out a couple of things. Was there nation-state involvement? Is this a foreign nation that is seeking to use a lone gunman or a lone wolf, as we call them, to try and assassinate our president? That seems very unlikely. But the FBI is going to want to know if he acted alone or was he helped? Is there someone else that is out there that wants to do the president ill at this level that the FBI has to arrest? And so that's going to be the primary focus in the beginning. And then as that is happening, they're going to be picking apart the background of the gunman, everything they can possibly learn about him. I mean, his home was cordoned off, his room was searched. It's surprising to me that a 20-year-old has such a small social media presence. It's possible he tried to wipe it or close accounts. Nothing can be destroyed or deleted from the internet. The FBI will find that. So they will be putting together a full psychological profile of the attacker, determining whether there was any assistance in this attack or whether he was truly a lone gunman, and trying to understand the motivation for the attack. Was it politically motivated or was he simply deranged? But the FBI will find that out, and we will learn relatively soon, I think.
And it's interesting because this seems to have been, at least from appearances, thought out. He needed to have identified that the roof where he was crawling on and take a look at the range that between him and the former President Trump. Obviously, he acquired the gun. You know, when you take a look at it from that standpoint, does this seem like it was planned out and not a spontaneous event?
I suspect from his ability to take a shot at the president of the United States to actually put his finger on the trigger and fire, that there was planning involved. Something that significant can't happen on a spur of the moment decision that morning, I'm going to go shoot the president. So I would suspect that the shooter, of course, we don't know, but we will, that the shooter planned this out, did reconnaissance on the site, found some rooftops. Now, it might not have even been that rooftop, but he might have looked at different ones, and that was the rooftop that wasn't manned or wasn't protected. He had a ladder. He got to the top of the rooftop. He carried a gun up there. It looks from some of the pictures, although they're very grainy, that he dressed in gray so that he would blend into the rooftop and make it harder for observers to see him. And there are all sorts of reports coming out about how he got up there, how long he was up there, and why maybe he took that shot, perhaps even earlier than he planned. So I suspect that there was planning involved. Look, you can watch any number of crime shows to learn a little bit about how to plan these sort of things. Some reports are saying that he took the gun from his parents' home, that it was a legally purchased gun. I would suspect that because there was some reports that he had at least tried out for his rifle team, that he knew how to fire it for his high school. And look, that rifle, that particular model of rifle is accurate to 500 to 600 yards without a lot of training. And this was only about 130 to 150 feet. So that is not a very difficult shot at all to take. Those shots can be taken from half a mile away, which is why the Secret Service's job is so difficult in these situations.
And Eric, yesterday we heard from President Biden calling for an independent review of the security at that rally. But the big question a lot of people have is, how was the gunman able, and you mentioned a ladder, how was he able to get onto the roof undetected with a rifle And Secret Service apparently didn't notice him. We do know that there was a police officer who identified him and then just slid down the side of the building. But from a security standpoint, I think a lot of people still don't understand how the gunman was able to get that close for that long.
Yeah, that boggles my mind. Planning is always key in every security situation, whether it's cybersecurity, physical security, tactical security. Planning is key. And the Secret Service has an advanced team that are very good at conducting what they call a site survey that tells us how they incorporated, every rooftop, including the shooter's rooftop, into the plan. So that site survey is critical to identify the buildings and vulnerabilities and then orient protection toward the most critical threats. So what they're doing is they're game planning. Could a shooter shoot from here? What if someone has a weapon somehow in the crowd? How do we respond? And then they plan for that. Now, right now, we don't know enough to understand how that gap in security occurred. And it is certainly a gap. And so there are questions we can ask. And I'm sure this is what the FBI is looking into. This is what Biden's team is looking into. And we're going to have congressional inquiries, I'm sure, starting today, looking into these. So here are just a few questions that I would look into. Were there enough counter snipers on the CAT team? And these shooters need to be able to adequately cover. This area is a large rural area, and it allows for, like I said, real long distance shots. So they have to be worried about a good sniper that could be shooting from half a mile away. This is a big flat area, and it makes it very complex for security. What were the fire first protocols for the fire team? I kind of want to know that. If they identified that there's someone on that roof, what were the protocols told to the counter snipers? Were they told, fire as soon as you identify a threat, or did they have to radio, or did they have to wait? The worst case scenario is they had to wait for someone to fire first. I can't believe that was the case. Why weren't they using drone surveillance? Or if they were, did the drones pick up anything? And then down to just the way that the Secret Service moved in to protect Trump. Was that podium armored? Was it a ballistic barrier? I mean, when the team was moving in to protect Trump, and the Secret Service moved very quickly, and I couldn't imagine being in a situation where I'm going to put my body in front of someone else, knowing that a bullet could be coming to me. But that podium appeared to become an obstacle for the team. It was in their way. And that pathway from the podium to the armored car looked really cluttered. If you watch that video again, they seem to stumble and move, and it's difficult for them. Regardless of the president saying, wait, they should have moved him very quickly. And that pathway from the stage to the extraction point should have been clear and really easy to move through, and it didn't look that way. So I think that there's going to be a lot of analysis. There's going to be some significant investigation, not only into how they missed that roof in their reconnaissance, but did they act as perfectly as they could in getting that president and getting President Trump out of danger and to the armored car, which was their extraction point in the security plan.
And Eric, you bring up so many important questions that no doubt we will be very interested in hearing the answers to. We thank you for taking the time to join us right here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. It was good to be on the show.
Absolutely.